everybody, it's Noreen, and I'm here today. It's Labor Day, and I have a ton of peppers. I've been collecting peppers for a week or so. My peppers, I told my family yesterday, if the, you know what hits the fan, and all we have to eat is peppers, we're safe. So I want to preserve my peppers. I don't want them to go bad. I don't want them to go to waste. I'm not growing in the garden to make compost, so today we're going to pickle some peppers. Now, I recently watched one of my friends, Yankee Prepper. He did some pickled peppers, and I thought that was funny because I had been planning this all along. So today we're going to do some sweet pickled peppers, and we're just going to do some regular pickled jalapenos. And these are the peppers that I have picked out of my garden over here, and there's a ton of them. Lots of banana peppers and serranos, and these are called big chilies. There's some jumbo cayennes in here, and they are hot, I gotta tell you. So I'm gonna put these in a sweet brine. Here's some of those serranos. They're gorgeous. Look at them. Beautiful things. And these are all my jalapenos. My jalapenos over here. This big guy, this is one of those, whoops, I didn't notice you hanging off the bottom of the plant. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna slice these up. We're gonna pack them in hot jars, and then we're just going to boil some brine, and we're going to ladle it over. We're not going to heat process these today. I don't find it necessary to heat process peppers. The hot brine should be enough to safely pickle these. The acidity level in the jar will be absolutely fine. We're going to add some pickling spice and some garlic, and I have my jars rinsing in a sanitized mode of my dishwasher right now. I'm going to go ahead and prep these up, and then we're going to come back and I'm going to show you how we make the brine. Alright, I have prepped all of my peppers, and I peeled a whole bunch of garlic cloves, and I got all the stuff ready to make my brine with. I also ran my jars in the sanitizer cycle of my dishwasher, and we are ready to pack some jars. I'm going to start my brine over here. So this is what goes into the brine. We're going to use 3 cups of white vinegar, 1 cup of water, 1 cup of granulated sugar, and 1/2 cup of salt. We're going to put those in the pot all together. We're going to bring it to a boil and make sure that the sugar and the salt both dissolve completely. Okay. And we're going to make sure you use a metal spoon. And when you can and do things like pickling, make sure you use a stainless steel pot. Please do not use aluminum, because that will leach aluminum into whatever you're canning, and nobody wants to do that. Aluminum has been linked with Alzheimer's disease, and anytime we don't have to get any of those nasty things into our bloodstream is a good thing. So I've got this. I'm going to turn this on high. I've got my my lids over here in some hot water that is not boiling. I've just turned it off, and I threw my lids in there. You don't want to boil those lids because it will ruin the gum that will make the seal that will seal your pickles and your pickled peppers. So, okay, this should just take a moment. In the meantime, I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to start preparing some of these jars. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a teaspoon of pickling spice and put it in each jar. And you can make your own pickling spice. I like to buy it in these big containers because it's a lot cheaper. Pickling spice has mustard seed, celery seed, crushed bay leaf, allspice berries, cinnamon, cloves, all kinds of interesting flavors. But these are all flavors that you associate with pickles. I'm going to fill that many up for right now. We're going to go ahead and pop a garlic clove in each one of these. And make sure you use good fresh garlic. You could use dehydrated garlic if you wanted to. Right now I'm doing my sweet brine, so I'm going to just start filling up these jars. And make sure you pack them in there. It's okay to squish them down. But there, just like that. And I don't know how many jars I'm going to get out of this. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to pack these jars real good, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you how we put the brine in there. Okay, I have packed all of my jars. We've got our pickling spice in the bottom, and we've got our garlic clove, and I've packed the jars tightly, so we're ready for our brine. My brine is good and hot. I want to just make sure that it is at a boil before I put it on these. And then I'm going to make a separate brine for the jalapenos. I did go ahead and pack the jars with the jalapenos just so I do it all at one time. So we have 9 jars of hot peppers, and then we have 7 jars of jalapenos. You know, they're hot too, but oops. Make sure I put that in the jar. And these, I put them in half-pint jars, which is the typical size for a jelly jar. The reason I did that was because I figured it would, you know, if you put these in a pint or a quart, I mean, if you have a large family and you're going to eat that much, or you don't want to hang it out in the refrigerator too long, because then you just end up dumping it in the garbage, and who wants to do that? I mean, our money only goes so far. Even when we grow our own vegetables, why do we want to throw it away? So this is enough for a meal. You know, if you're going to make sub sandwiches, these are great on sub sandwiches. You can throw a jar in your chili. I bet it would make it delicious. You know, throw a jar in your beans. If you're going to be making some beans, go ahead and do that, and it'll add some lovely flavor. And I can hear this brine starting to boil. And I'm going to go ahead and take it off the heat and bring it over here. Whew, don't get your nose too close to that, because it'll take your breath away, literally. Okay, so all we're going to do is fill this right up. And it should take like a ladle and a half, and hopefully I have made enough brine. You want to leave about a ½ inch tight space in here. So, and that's like to this ring. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to fill up the rest of these with the brine, and then I'll be right back. Okay, I'm just finishing up. I had to make more brine because I ran out. So I have some left here of the sweet brine. But one thing I did want to show you that's very important. Make sure you put enough brine in there, because you want to make sure all those peppers get pickled. See, there's not quite enough in that jar. And I'm just going to add a little extra. There you go. Now, this is a plastic knife, the kind that you might get if you had some takeout. Now, because I pack my kids' lunches, see, there's just ever so slightly too much brine in there now. Because I pack my kids' lunches, I have these on hand. Now, take your plastic knife and run it around the inside of the jar to release any air bubbles that might be in there, because you don't want air bubbles trapped in there, because then you have the chance of bacteria growing in your home canned item, and you don't want that because you took all this time to do this. And then the next thing you want to do is wipe off the rim, because if you don't have a good seal, your lid's not going to seal, you're not going to get a good vacuum. And then mostly you've seen me do water processing, you know, water bath process when I've done jams, or when I did my dill pickles. Today, that is not the case. Today, we're doing a little something different. This is how I was taught to do pickles. The USDA does not recommend that you do it this way. The Ball Blue Book will not tell you to do it this way. In fact, because of liability and whatnot, they will never tell you to do it this way. I've been doing it this way in a while. Never had anybody die on me. I never had a problem. So, when you do this, please do it at your own risk. I am doing it because I have experience doing it this way. If you prefer and feel safer, please water process these for 10 minutes. Now, finger tight on those lids, put the bands on. Do not tighten them too hard. Give them a good back and forth, because you just put really hot liquid in these jars, and the jars were warm in the first place. This is going to help distribute that pickling spice. Then, let's go over to the kitchen table and I'll show you what happens next. first thing I'm going to do is turn off my ceiling fan. There we go. You want to put these in a place where there's no draft. I'm going to take this jar, it's hot, put it upside down. Leave it there upside down for half an hour. Then come back, turn them right side up, and leave them there till tomorrow. When you come back tomorrow, these jars will be sealed. You'll hear them start to ping, and everything will work out great. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and do my my jalapenos. The only difference there is I'm not going to put any sugar in that brine. So I'll be back in just a minute. Okay, I made my brine for my jalapenos, and I'm just going to pour it into the jars. And this was 4 cups of vinegar, 1.5 cups of water, and 1/2 cup of salt. And it tastes perfect. You know, you can stick your finger in there and taste it. You know what a good pickle is supposed to taste like. So if you're comfortable with that, and then the most important thing is you want the acidity level to be just right. You don't want it to be not acidic enough, because then you run the risk of not having them pickle properly, and then you also... Okay, we're going to go ahead and run our knife around the side. And press these down, just like that. If you feel like you need a little more brine, go ahead and stick some in there. And you definitely don't want any of those loose seeds. I'm losing my peppers. Okay. I'm going to add a little more brine to that one. Now see, canning is not intimidating. It is easy. I'm going to grab my brine over here. Let's see. This one needs a little more. And I think I said earlier 1/2 inch of headspace. See there, I put too much. I think 1/4 inch is going to do here. If you are worried about it, please consult the Ball Blue Book. It will probably tell you not to do anything you've just watched me do. But like Yankee says, the food Nazis at the Ball Company are, you know, the USDA, etc. They want you to do it a certain way so you can avoid foodborne illness. See, and this is... And that was hot. So, remember, just to be safe, that's all. And make sure everything is impeccably clean. Please be careful. My fingers, after years of exposure, are made of asbestos, so I can handle touching these hot things. If you cannot, please consider using a kitchen towel while doing this. Now I'm just going to put my lids on these here. Don't do that either. Things not to do. Splash hot water all over your kitchen. Not a good idea. Alright, and again, we're going to go ahead and band these, and we're going to put them upside down on my dish towel over on the kitchen table, out of a draft. And yes, I know none of my lids are my band snap. I don't care, because it just doesn't matter. You can save these. I mean, I'm not done. I'm not anywhere near done growing things. It was so hot here this summer that I have spent at least the last month and a half not really pulling a lot out of my garden, but now the nighttime temperatures are starting to be a little cooler, and my garden is looking happier. So I am hoping for good things over the next month or so with respect to my garden. And exciting things, you know. I had really no tomatoes to speak of this year. So I'm going to carry these over to my kitchen table. We're going to give these a good shake and turn them upside down. Just leave them alone. They'll do their little pickly thing. And before you know it, you're going to have some great pickled peppers. Now, I hope you try this, and I hope you enjoy it. Don't be afraid of canning. It's very easy to do. It just looks intimidating, but look how easy it is. So until next time, see ya!